And it's Tag Tuesday, so that's why I'm on right now. I realized that I have not managed my Tuesdays well, and my thought that I would be in here early to do Tag Tuesdays before my 11 o'clock class has not worked out at all. At all. So I'm going to give this a try here now at this time of the day. Let me just make sure that I can see your comments. And okay, so Tag Tuesday. Today I am going to play around with embossing. So I'm going to start with the embossing piece. And when I mean embossing, I mean powder embossing. Most of you know how to do this already, or at least when the people who come into the shop and take my classes, almost everyone's familiar with this. This one's been around for a long time. I remember doing this in college 30 years ago, except back then I didn't have a heat gun. I had to do it over an electric stove. I turned it on high, and then I did it from the backside on the paper, and you'd watch it and hope you didn't burn the paper, which I did on a regular basis. All right, so I'm going to switch to this other camera, she says optimistically. Oh. All right, hopefully that's it. We'll see. We'll see. I thought I fixed the internet issues I was having, but maybe not. I don't know. All right, so I have a bunch of embossing powders. Sorry, might have a little bit of a cough left, so I'm just forging ahead of them. Let's see what I have that I can tell you that I sell here in the shop, because I do have quite a bit of embossing powders in the shop. This is from the shop. This is from the shop. I don't see my favorite gold, which I do have in the shop. It's sparkly. Gosh. Yeah, I have a lot. Okay. So I'm going to start with white, because why not? And I'm going to use this Stampendous stamp, and because it is so if you're having trouble with your stamp adhering, try cleaning with a baby wipe and letting it dry and see if that helps. And I'm going to use this Letter It embossing powder. Embossing ink. Oh my gosh, my words. Embossing ink. I think it's working. It's hard to tell when you're using clear ink on. Uh-oh. Oh, you know what? That's not open, and so I don't want to waste my time, so I'm just going to do this. There, you can see the pattern now. That's always a good thing when you can see when it sticks. I'm going to add, oops, no, catastrophe. Make sure I get, so if it turns out that you have powder that sticks other, places you don't want it, you can just come in with a paintbrush and brush it away. Tips of the trade. If you don't want, I do have the static, what do they call it? Little bags of static cling powder, so that you can fix it so that the powder doesn't stick to everything and go everywhere. Just reclaiming the powder. All right, and then I don't bother with trying to reuse that because it's just going to get messy. All right, so I'm going to So with this powder, I'm hoping you can see that you can tell, hey Deborah, you can tell when it's melting because it goes bright. This is a very high temperature powder and is not melting very quickly, so sorry for the wait. I will do another one and it will be faster, I promise. If I do another one. Boy, this is taking a while. I think you can see in the camera how this is bright gold and this is still a little dark. That's where it's still powdery. Ooh, something's burning. Smell a little scorchy smell. So either the machine is getting really hot or this particular part of the paper is. Come on, almost done. Alright, that was genuinely ridiculous how long that took to melt. So I can tell you the more modern ones do not take that long. Oh, this hot does, it's not even melted. Okay, now it is. Ugh. But I have to say, I hope you can see this. It's very pretty. And so what was that? That was Hero Arts embossing powder. I've had that pot a while. They probably don't even have that that kind of what's the word, packaging anymore. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with these shakers, these magical shakers. They're full of watercolor powders. A lot of you have used these in my classes before. You bring them and sprinkle them on. This is Lindy's, and gosh, they can be so pretty. I've played with these a couple times recently. Just want to give you a... And what's pretty about the Lindy's ones is that they have this, they mix the colors in together. So it's not just one color in there. You get this sort of bloom of lots of different colors. And then I've got this... This is Ken Oliver's colors that he has. I'm trying to be a little specific around the leaves areas. So this is his color sparks, and this is lime green. So you see that those are a little more, what's the word? Water soluble, I guess. Let me see what happens. It's kind of fun to see those bloom into each other. You can kind of see where it hasn't dissolved. You might add a little more water. But it can be kind of fun to build in. I have all these colors in here. Where's that one? Here's a different green. This is chartreuse. Let's see what happens if I add this chartreuse. In here, see what that brings to it. So I'm just dribbling little bits of color here and there and letting it bloom on this card. So if you're just joining me, I'm just playing around. I've done some embossing, and now I'm just playing around with adding some watercolor powders. And you know I have several in the store. I have my Lindy Stamp Gang, and these are the sparks, which are a little more vibrant. And you can really see when it blooms like that, you can really see the gold pop up through the through the colors that I've added. And so I'm just playing with all the different ones that I have. So this is the infusions. This is Paper Artsies. Someone told me a genius way to control the flow, because these are just out of a bottle, and there's, you know, it's hard to not dump it. But they said poke a hole in the top of the lid and then fill it with a tack. And I thought that was genius. So I haven't done it yet, obviously, but I'm going to for sure. I'm going to get this little dryer. And if you missed my introduction, I know normally I would have done this in the morning, but I've had a hard time managing my time to get here early enough to do it before my 11 o'clock class that I do, which is ATCs. You can check out the website and see the ATCs we did this morning if you want. I had like a chunk of powder there, so I just dissolved it a little more. Alright, so now I'm just trying to get this warm enough so that, dry enough so I can put it through my switch machine, which I have right here. So the stamp I use is this Campendous stamp. See if I can't get this a little drier. Now, it took me a while to dry the embossing powder, but now, because it was a high heat embossing powder, but now I have the advantage of that it's not going to melt while I dry, because it is a high heat. It took a while to melt, to set it, but now it's not going to melt when I do this because I'm not lingering. Okay, so I don't know if you can see the chaos that I've created with this one, but that's kind of fun. So here's the die. This is the one that I've been using for these demos. This is the Graphic 45 die, their big one. They don't have a lot of dies, so they only have a couple of tag dies. This is their big one. I've been putting this machine through its paces. I'm getting a lot of use. So I don't think that's going to be... Alright, I'm going to do one more pass at that because I know it didn't catch the end. In fact, I'm just going to pull this up. Maybe not. Nope, not quite. So if you're careful enough with your dies, you can reset them when that happens so that you can capture anything it didn't cut. Nope, that's not gonna. My paper's not straight enough or dry enough. It turns out it's still not dry, so I'm going to go ahead and hit it again. It almost came out. I'll get a pair of scissors and clean that up. But look at that. Look how pretty that looks. The way it is. have a card that's starting to curl up on you, just turn it over and dry it from the back, and that'll help even it out. And you can see that it's curling one way, and then I dry it from the other side, and it curls the other way, and then I dry it from the other side, and I dry it from the other side. It's pretty dry, so I don't have to worry about it too much. But hopefully you can see the prettiness that I got out of that. So one thing I'm going to do, because today I wanted to demonstrate... Oh no, why did you do that? Thought I'd fix it. I thought I'd fix it. So let me see. So one thing I'm going to do, let's see. This is the Stupendous embossing powder, and I'm going to just edge this card. And you might be like, what do you mean? This is how you do that. I'm just taking the embossing powder, and I'm going to sprinkle, or the embossing ink, and I'm going to sprinkle it along the edge. And I'm going to sprinkle the and so let me see, hopefully I can get this where you can see this, because this should this is a newer formula, and I don't know if you can see how fast it's melting compared to the last batch. Much faster. Now you can over melt, believe it or not, you can over melt embossing powder. You can melt it so much that it ends up disappearing into the, like, evaporating almost. So just, you know, FYI, it can happen. So I don't know if you can see the gleam that I'm getting off of this. Thanks, Deborah. A little, you know, gold edge, basically, little ragged gold edge. And I can add more and more and more and get a nice thick one if I want, but I just want a little gleam to frame this tag and to So you can see here I didn't quite get any gold, so I'm just going to add some. So I'm just going to do this last, ooh, hot. Actually hot. Sorry, not intentionally rickrolling you if you've caught on to the background music, but now you can tell the spots that were still a little damp because they took a little longer to dry, but there, that's pretty. Here's the cleanup side. This is the part you can't get away from when you're doing a live video. I mean, I guess I could have like planned it ahead of time, or everything's ready to go and I just set it aside, not worry about it. All right, So yeah, so there's my tag, my embossed tag. Not sure what I want to do on top of it, but I'm pretty excited by how fun and colorful it looks already. So hopefully you can see that. Let's see if I can get close enough. Let's see. All right, and then let me see about doing one with a little different approach. Let's do one with this white, because that's what I wanted to do to begin with. And I have a different, let me see if I can find the, oh, come on. I didn't even realize this was sealed, or I would have done this before I tried to start a class with it, or a demo with it. But it was so invisible, didn't even see it on there. There we go. Okay, so this is white, and so what I think I'm going to do with this stuff is play around with some textural things. This is one of Seth Apter's newer stamps. He just came out with a bunch of newer stamps, and I have brought them in. So I'm going to play around with doing this one. So a little wax paper underneath. Come on, don't do that. Okay, so embossing ink. I want this to be pretty juicy. I don't know if this one's juicier, but jury's out whether or not pots are better than little, I don't know, to be honest. Now this is white on white, so that's going to be tough. I'm going to have to really watch it. Fortunately, it's going glossy. Okay, so I don't know if you can see the gloss on that one. I'm going to keep going. And actually, I'm going to see if I can get away with doing a second round like this. So I'm just going to create a sort of completely starry background. Oops, using this stamp. I just want to create enough space so that when I cut out my tag, that I've got coverage on the whole tag. Yeah, it's hard to see because it's white, but I'll show you. It's going to be magical in a minute, I promise. So this is what's fun about it being white, is because I'm going to use the things on it, and then you'll really see it. the powders. Let's see. Okay, just one little section more, I think. So I just got a bunch of new colors in too with Wow and Stupendous and Sizzix. So I've got a lot of embossing powders right now. Plus I still have Stuff After and some of those historical brands. There's that. Ooh, I don't like the pot. Alright, Sizzix, I don't like it. Too messy. Not enough space. Great. Yeah, not cool. Okay. Okay, but let's see what happens when I add some color. There we go. That I was looking for. So hopefully you can see what I was going for there, which is that now you can see that embossing powder is going to pull up through the color. Let's see what happens if I add a little of the pink. Some nice interactions. Now I don't want to heat gun it too long because I don't want to remelt the embossing powder. Okay, so now I'm going to do again what I did before, which is to take my dye, sandwich it all together. Gonna give it a good shove into this machine. had some liquid still in there. I'm not sure if that got squashed out. It looks like maybe it did. So I'm just going to make sure I wipe that down before I let anybody else use it. So I think that's all I'm going to do today. I've got a couple of, I've got a couple of tags now ready to maybe layer up on, but I'm pretty happy with the result. So I've got, I embossed on both of them, and then I interacted with them with powdered watercolor inks, Lindy's and Ken Oliver's, and the ones from Paper Artsy. So there's a combination on this tag in particular of all of those, and a couple on here, and various embossing powders. So I hope that inspired you to do a little embossing and playing around with your inks. And I will see you, I will see you tomorrow. No, I will see you Thursday for jelly printing. And in the evening I have bookbinding. So if you're interested in learning how to hand sew a hard-covered book, come on down. All right, thanks for joining me, everyone.